So you're leaving your employer plan and you're thinking of taking Cobra. Maybe you got a severance package where the employer is now going to subsidize that Cobra premium for you at 100% for 3, 6, 12 months. That sounds awesome. You go from paying extremely high premiums to possibly nothing for your health insurance. But if you're Medicare eligible, is that really a viable solution? Most cases, probably not. So here's a situation I just ran into with the client. His Cobra started January 1st. He assumed that he would just keep Cobra for the full amount of time allowed, 18 months, until he had to go on to Medicare. Well, here's the problem. Number one, and most critically, and the biggest risk is that Cobra will not see themselves as the primary payer. So if you're Medicare eligible, but you're not enrolled, Cobra may only pay for a very small portion of those healthcare services you get, which leaves you potentially as the primary payer. Now, if you're already in this situation, you decide that's a risk you're willing to take, fine, then what happens next? Well, your Cobra will last for up to 18 months if you decide to keep it going. But your enrollment period for Medicare Part B is only 8 months from the time your employer coverage ends, and when it's extended through Cobra, that does not count. So you have 8 months from the time your active employee coverage ends to get Medicare Part B. Otherwise, you're going to go another 4 months potentially or more without coverage. You can only then enroll during general enrollment, which is January 1 through March 31st every year. So you could have potential lapse or gap in coverage. And then also you're starting to accumulate late enrollment penalties for not getting Part B when you were first able. Other things to note about Cobra and Medicare: if you have Medicare A and B and you become eligible for Cobra, you must be allowed to enroll in Cobra, and in that case, Medicare is your primary and Cobra will be your secondary payer. Now, if you're on Cobra and then become Medicare eligible, then Cobra will typically end when your Medicare starts. And in a situation like this, if your spouse is also covered by Cobra and not eligible for Medicare, that spouse may then be able to keep Cobra for up to 36 months, which is twice as long as the standard 18 months that you would typically have access to your insurance through Cobra.